Namaste and welcome. Namaste.
Namaste.
We'll begin our study of the Upanishad with a prayer. Om. 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 Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Bhararayanam Sutra Bhashakratau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Guruvatmeti Murtibheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyaptadehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryan Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahaihi. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Peace be, peace be, peace be. Relax, relax, relax. Hari Om. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to Exploring Taittiriya Upanishad. We will, as per tradition, chant the Shanti Pata, which we were exploring last week in the introduction, asking for Sham, well-being, on all levels, and then that rapport with the teacher. So I'll chant this again, and then also create a space or opportunity for you to join in the chant. Om Shanno Mitra Sham Varunaha Shanno Bhavatvaryama Shanna Indra Brahaspatihi Shanno Vishnurukramaha Namo Brahmane Namaste Vayo Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahma Varishyami Vritam Varishyami Satyam varishyami tanmamavatu tadvaktaram avatu avatu mam avatu vaktaram Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now if you'd like to practice your chanting, I'll break apart. Om Shanno Mitra
Om Shanno Mitra
Sham Varunaha
Samvarun
Shanno Bhavatvaryama
Shan
Shanna Indro
Shan
Brahaspatihi
Brahas
Shanno Vishnurukramaha
Shanno
Namo Brahmane
Namo
Namaste Vayo
Namaste
Tvameva Pratyaksham
Vame
Brahmasi
Brahmasi
Tvameva pratyaksham
Tva
Tvamena praksham
Brahma varishyami
Brahma
Brahma vadishyami
Ritam varishyami
Vritam
vadishyami
Satyam varishyami
Satyam vadishyami
Tanmamavatu
Tanma
Tanmavatu
Tatvaktaramavatu
Tatvakta
Bhaktamavatu
Avatu mam
Avatum
Avatu Mam
Avatu vaktaram
Avatu
Avatu Bhaktam
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Great. So Upanishad begins with devotion. Bhavatu, may it be. What's that? Sham. I ask for well-being. Because in Vedanta, the sadhana is shravanam. For it to be a perfect and profitable listening, what kind of listening is that? A listening to the sweet words of Mother Shruti, where by the knowledge transferred from from teacher to student, the mind clearly receives that. And what is that knowledge? That I am Purnam, that I am complete in myself, by myself, that I am Satchidananda Brahman. I am the whole. That's a vision of the infinite. Not knowing that is a loss of the infinite, as we saw in Kena Upanishad. So it's a big deal. And for that listening to really settle in one's buddhi, in the intellect, we ask for well-being, sham. It's a beautiful prayer because it's also a cry out to these different gods we saw. But those gods need not be far out. We were seeing how when the student of Upanishad calls out to gods like Varuna, Shanna Indro, Brahaspatihi, Shanno Vishnu Rudukramaha, these different gods, then it also has a deep relationship to our organs of perception and our organs of action, that they be fit and ready. So a few more connections that are quite interesting here if you think about it. When we ask for well-being, Shanna Indro, to the god of Indra, Indra is a supreme king god in the Vedas. You'll find Indra's name come up quite a bit. And Indra is said to be mythologically the one who wields the thunderbolt. So though we can call out to that higher power, also it's a capacity to use our hands, our ability to use this organ of action efficiently, creatively, for it to be useful. So Indra is also the deity in Vedanta for hands. Similarly, Shanno Vishnu Rudukramaha. Vishnu is supposed to be mythologically the one with the largest strides. So Vishnu is also the deity of our locomotion, our legs. May we make our way in the right path. May we reach our destination. So you can bring in a lot of meaning here. So in Vedanta, what we see from the onset is that we should have a healthy enlightenment. As Vedantins, there's no excuse to neglect your health. And I'm quite sorry to say it, but I see a lot of teachers of Vedanta who big belly, frowning, grimace face, who don't look that healthy. That's not right. We should be disciplines of yoga, practicing asana, pranayama, mantra chanting, take care of our health. And this prayer itself, it reveals that when we're asking for the blessings of the gods, blessings of a fit and able instrument, we need that. And also, too, you inspire people that way. You inspire the next generation to propagate the Hindu Dharma, meaning discover the Atman in your heart and live a joyful life. So that's important. And that culminates in a crying out to Vayo, Namaste Vayo, to the Vayu. Here the Vayu is not just the breath or the wind, but really it's a call to Prana Shakti, to the goddess. The very life force that's supporting the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, and all sentient beings. And that sheath of the Brahman, we're calling out to that prana, Namaste Vayo, Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi. That word Brahman comes. You are the perceivable Brahman for me. You are my God. Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahma Varishyami. You are the Rhythm Varishyami, the order that's holding everything together. Satyam Varishyami. If there's any truth to be had, I feel that it's this expression of prana as my breath. So that's a really beautiful prayer to the breath. And your breath is a doorway to discovering that inner luminosity that you are. So, with that being said, we take inspiration in living a healthy, disciplined life, practicing pranayama, and then having a prepared mind, experiencing that well being. And then when we come to the scriptures with such a mind, then this knowledge sets in real quick. And then lastly, too, that Tanmamavatu, protect me, Vaktaramavatu, protect the speaker. So that also shows that the Shruti comes alive, the words of the scripture come alive with the help of the Guru, one who's deeply living and abiding in the vision. So it's a kind of transference of energy that way. And that can be cut short, maybe because the teacher is disappointed in the student's uh, abilities, or maybe the student misinterpreted what the teacher said, and there could be some kind of discord or frustration between them. So also we ask that there's no blockage there. There's a flow of energy between them, that rapport. So we'll chant this each time, and as you're seeing, there's a wealth of meaning just within this Shantipata. Now continuing, we saw that the first chapter in the 3 chapters of Taittiriya Upanishad is called Shikshavali. It's a branch on the science of pronunciation. And we saw in the following mantra, Om Shiksham Vya Akyasyamaha, we're going to explain the art of pronunciation. So I'm not sure if you expected it or whether you were wanting it, but we had a Sanskrit lesson last class. What was that on? Varna, those sounds. I hope that was an enjoyable experience for you. The sounds of the Sanskrit alphabet. And then also swaraha, the pitch. Matra balam. There should be a length and also the force or clarity by which you speak. Samasantanaha. Also, you can't swallow the syllables. In Sanskrit, you have to pronounce each syllable correctly. So that's why sama and santanaha, those syllables should be in order. Iti uktaha shikshadhyayaha. So this has been explained. It's understood now that you know how, as the student, knows how to read, write, and then chant. So that's important. And we were seeing too last week that that's a healing experience. Maybe one might not be interested in the study of Sanskrit grammar and breaking one's head on the on all those books, but the sheer enjoyment of chanting and producing those sounds is something that we can all relate to and is universal. So let us continue. Now what we're going to find is the Guru creates a way for us to expand our mind. Again, getting that prepared mind. So we'll chant this mantra again. Sahanau yashaha, sahanau brahma varchasam, athathassa gumhitaya upanishadam vyaakhyasyamaha panchaswarikaraneshu adhilokamadhi chaudishamadhi vidyamadhi brajamadhyatmam tamahasagumhita ityachakshate. So this is just review, but we saw the gurus here indicating, or maybe they're both saying together, sahanao, us together, may we attain yashaha, may we attain that glory or fame as a result of the good things that we do. Sahanao brahma varchasam, may we truly benefit from what we're studying. So that creates that kind of energy and that excitement about staying with it throughout the study. So the student and the teacher together have that kind of excitement growing, blossoming in their hearts for continuing the tradition and spreading good things in the community. Yes. And then also we looked into that word Brahma Varchasam, where you have that glow or that halo around you, which is developed through the practice of brahmacharyam and then other different disciplines, mantra chanting and all of that. So sahanao brahma varchasam. Now, ataha, now, therefore, sagumhitaya upanishadam. Now we'll teach about meditation. So what the guru does is the guru supplies a tangible symbol, a symbol that will indicate subtler and deeper truths that might not be available for the student's mind on the outset. So the guru has a way of leading one to that supreme rahasya, that supreme secret knowledge of the Mahavakya, Tattvamasi, that you are that whole. So just jumping straight to that transcendental might seem difficult in the sense that it doesn't make any sense. And we don't have the intellectual vigor to even ask a question. We just dismiss it or we think it's bogus. So the guru knows that upon meeting the student and discussing with them and all that. So they offer a step-by-step path from the outermost investigation to subtler and deeper inquiry. Like Yoga Sutra, Vitarka Vicharananda Asmita. First, having a relationship and understanding what's happening around you, how you relate to the world around you, or an outer object. Then vichara, the capacity to start reflecting and looking within, exploring the inner landscape. And then the subtle joys that you discover as you go deep within. So here we have what's known as Samhita Upanishadam, which means Upanishadam here means a kind of meditation, cluster meditations. Vyakyasyamaha. We'll explain this. What are those cluster meditations? Adi lokam, adi chaudisham, adi vidyam, adi prajam adhyatmam. So here there are several different kinds of meditations. First, beginning with loka. Loka means the outer world, relationships in the world. So we start at that. So there's 5 meditations, and each of these 5 meditations, the guru supplies the symbol. Here, there's a kind of code or symbol used in all these meditations that help make it easier for the student to remember. So that code is called Ishetwa. The student, of course, now being familiar with the Sanskrit language and how those varnas combine, those sandhis, how those sandhis combined, the guru can supply just this one symbol and then superimpose um, different objects or different forms of meditation upon that. So, Ishe Twa, it literally means I worship you. And it's a way to expand the mind to understand the um, the Saguna Brahman, or the manifest world around us. So there you have I, She, Takara, and Va. And those are the four parts that make up this cluster meditation. The first one dealing with Loka, the next one dealing with Jaurisham, the subtle luminosities. Then knowledge, how knowledge takes place. Adividyam, Adiprajam, then progeny. And lastly, Adhyatmam, which means reflection on the self. So let's see what that is. And in fact, the use of a symbol is common in all traditions. Mind needs a symbol, an ability to relate. So this isn't considered lower than nirguna meditation, in the sense that in all meditation, we're meditating on a symbol, but that discovery of the nirguna Brahman, or the oneness of existence, requires the pramana, Upanishad. So that will come later. But for the time being, let us help our mind expand. Let us help our mind see subtler and subtler insights about connections. So continuing. First, it's on the loka, meaning the physical universe. So we'll chant this, and I'll also chant it again with spaces in between so you can join me. Athari lokam prithivipu urvarupam dhaurutararupam akasha sandhihi vayu sandhanam ityadi lokam. Now, if you'd like to try chanting that. Athari lokam
Atari lokam
prithivipu urvarupam as Prithivi
Prithvi
Urvarupam Dhaurutararupam Akasha Sandhihi
Akasha Sandhi
Vayu Sandhanam
Ayushtadanam
Ityadi Lokam.
Ityadi lokam.
Iti Adi Lokam. This is concerning the Loka, or the physical universe. What are those connections? So, as we were saying, I She Twa. This is our code or symbol, and the guru can attribute different connections to each of those sounds. So the first is the prior form. What is that? Prithivi, the earth. So the student is led to feel the deep sense of support and Prithivi, the earth below. And that's the prior form, E. Then also Purvarupam. The posterior form is Dao, the sky. So earth below, sky above. They're connected with Va. Prithivi Purvarupam Dhau Uttararupam Akasha Sandhihi. The middle is the Akasha, the space. Vayu Sandhanam. What is joining them? The wind. Vayu is the link. So this is a kind of meditation that gets you centered, really. Gives you that kind of proprioception, or that feeling that you're nested in your psychobiology. that you feel you're taking up your whole form and are ready to step into a deeper commitment. So how does one practice that? Feeling your body deeply situated in the space, the sense of support and presence that you get. You feel that present when you let the feet get that sense of support below. And also too, the inspiration from above, the vast sky, Tao above. Similarly too, in the space between the middle, Akasha, you get that sense of connection, that sense of the shared space with the other sentient beings around you. Akasha. Sandhihi. And then also Vayu Sandhanam, feeling the dynamism of the Vayu or the wind, which is linking them together. So this way, iti adilokam, meditate on the connections of the physical universe. So this in itself is, though this is the entry meditation, this in itself is really powerful. If you start practicing this, and there's no prescribed time or place for this meditation. You can practice this anytime. So anywhere. And it can be as simple as expanding your chest, lifting your chin, letting the eyes rest back and gazing into the sky. You'll find a great healing in that. I know it may look a little funny if you're downtown or, if you're at some restaurant or whatever, in the middle of whatever it is that you do, but it's always available for you. And there's no harm in trying. Similarly, too, when you feel that the nerves take over, you feel nervous or anxious or angry, when is the last time that you just took a deep breath and rubbed your feet into the floor, centered yourself between both feet, maybe come up onto your toes and let the heels set back and let your attention rest at that center between this sky and earth and the vast space between, which in yogic terminology is called the Nabhi chakra. That's the center of our physical form and also the joining place of these different connections in the body. So just taking a deep breath, allowing your attention to resolve there will go a long way in creating that kind of inner spaciousness. A spacious is whereby you're not efforting forward or running away from a situation or butting up against something. Or sometimes we just feel like we escape or faint in a situation. So this kind of meditation keeps you totally present and connected and then open to possibilities. Atadi lokam, considering the adilokam, the loka, physical world. So the prior form, prativi, e, akasha is the middle, she, vayu, takara is the link, and dao is the va, posterior form. So reflect on this. Your mind expands. You see, sometimes the smallest problems create a lot. We ruminate on that. Some emotional hang up. Somebody said something that made you feel uncomfortable or made you feel lesser of a person. Then instead of just hearing it out and then choosing an appropriate response, maybe learning from that or dismissing it altogether and moving on, we keep ruminating on it, bringing it back and back again. So how to break the mind from those negative patterns and cycles? Get present with your form, this body, and its relationship to the space. So very powerful meditation on lokam. Now we learn about another meditation. So the guru takes that same symbol, but superimposes subtler ideas upon them, which may have not been available for the student's mind without practicing on the gross or physical world. So let's see what that is. Now, instead of a physical connection, we're going to be seeing connections that are energetic. This is called Jaudisham. So I'll chant this. Atari Jaudisham Agni Purvarupam Aditya Uttararupam Apasandihi Vayutasandhanam Ityadi Jaudisham. Now, if you'd like to practice chanting, you can repeat after me. Atadi Jaudisham
Atadi Jyotisam
Agni Purvarupam
Agni Purvarupam
Aditya Uttararupam
Aditya Uttararupam
Apasandihi
Apasandihi
Vaidyutasandhanam
Vaiditasandanam
Ityadi Jaudisham.
Idyachichautisam.
So now, Ata, concerning the Jaudisham. Jaudisham means here the energetic connections, or you can also think of these as the luminaries. So the luminosity that we see. And it begins with the prior form, E. The prior form here is Agni. I believe you're all familiar with that word, Agni. So the students led to reflect upon the fire. Now, in this Vedic culture, the fire is a very important symbol, being the first manifestation of Brahman that's visible. So Brahman in Krama Shrishti, in the sequence of creation, sometimes Brahman is said to the supreme being that we're looking into, investigating the Upanishad. Sometimes Brahman is said to by mere wish or desire. This it will come in the Upanishad. By a sheer desire, the whole thing in one swoop manifest. So kamayata, that Brahman felt so full, it unbearably joyful inside and had to share. So by a sheer wish, the whole universe manifest. That's one idea of creation, which is quite profound. It might seem far out, but think about the last time when you dozed off. And in a flash, an entire world of other beings and places and things appears in your dream. So sometimes Brahman is said to create like that. Other times, Brahman is said to create in an order. So instead of Sankalpa Shrishti, it's Krama Shrishti. How does that happen? Brahman creates the three gunas and their permutations become the elements from space to air, then to fire. So fire becomes the first element that's visible, that you can interact with. So it's said to be a manifestation of God. That way, fire is very sacred for us. And fire also is the mediator that we can connect to the light, the upper light. So the first part of this meditation is reflecting on fire. That's the localized or intimate connection of fire. And then the universal fire, so the posterior form is Aditya Uttararupam. Uttararupa means the posterior. Now you reflect upon its relationship with Aditya, the sun. The sun is like the extrapolated to the universal form of that individual fire. So in ancient times, in this Vedic culture, there was this was maybe easier for the student's mind to pick up naturally because in the homes there's always three different kinds of fire. So fire was used without modern electricity and all these other light sources that we have. Fire was always available. So there's something called Garharpatya Agni, which means in the center of a traditional home, there would be a fire pit there. So that would always be burning. It'd be constant. You have to keep that alive. Then what you do is you make another fire called Avahaniya fire. So you take from that central fire in the home, which is keeping it warm and then illuminating everything, and you use that. Maybe you take out of that for food and cooking and lamps. Then the third fire is Dakrina. So you use that third fire, you'll take again from this central fire, and you can make that fire used for different rituals, treat it as something sacred. So that central fire is always going. So the guru knows this and is also making use of that. That symbol is going to be fresh in the student's mind. And similarly, stepping out of the Gurukulam, they feel the rays of the sun. So prior form is Agni. Posterior form is Aditya, sun. Now, Apa Sandhi. Now, Apa is water element, which is in the middle part. And Vaidita, lightning, is the link. Now, how do we jump there? What the guru is doing is helping the student mind see the relationship between heat, the moisture of the atmosphere, and the silvery thread of lightning that joins them both. It's just a beautiful picture when you reflect upon this. In yogic terminology too, the lightning is a symbol of the prana. The lightning is the symbol of the Devi. So, but here, what really is discussed is talking about the relationship between the warmth of the earth, the lower fire, and the large, massive fire as the sun, and the relationship with the water element and how the lightning joins them. So, meaning there should always be some moisture in the atmosphere. And that's possible by the condensation of the water that's being drawn up. How is that happening? By the light of the sun. And that's also necessary for the warmth of the earth. So the guru is seeing that relationship there. So apa here doesn't just mean water, but it also means the atmosphere, the moisture that we feel in the atmosphere. And then when the conditions are right, what it seems like is heaven and earth join when that bolt of lightning strikes. Vaidita. Sandhanam. These are the connections. Iti, ati jaudisham. So reflect on these luminaries. Reflect on the connections of the these subtle luminaries. So you may impose these on your body as well. The higher sun of the intellect, the lower sun of the Jatara Agni, the fire in your belly, the water element that's in between, and then the prana which joins them. But yes, Sushila.
No, when you said about the lightning, I was just thinking, does that together with the sound, the thunder, the sound, how about, I'm just trying to understand this, because you brought out lightning, but lightning occurs with thunderstorms, thunder, sound.
Yeah, you could think of the lightning traveling through that space between them both. So that sound won't travel without those directions or that element of space. So that's one way you can look at it. Yeah. So think on it. You won't get bored with these meditations.
It's a lot.
Yeah. So what's important too is if it doesn't so this could be scientifically explained, which I'm not capable of presenting to you. Something about the relationship of the heat and how the perfect conditions are set for the lightning to be drawn down, that we can research and look into it together. So there's science in this as well. But apart from that and making it feel more complex, just think about the beauty of that. The beauty of the necessity of the moisture in the atmosphere, which is also helping us breathe. The very fact that there's warmth below in the earth, in our bellies, in the kitchen, in the yajñashala, and then the sun above. And then that rarity, though we don't see it that frequently in Kalamazoo, Michigan here, but that moment when the lightning strikes too, as a way to join these two. So anyway, just thinking or visualizing that in itself is an expansive experience. So atadi jaurisham agnif purvarupam aditya uttararupam apasandihi vaiditas sandhanam ityadi jaurisham. So that common factor in all of these is heat here too. The energy of the sun, fire, lightning, heat is common there. So if you're thinking, how do I bring this all together? The heat element is the one common part there. It's bringing all this together. So continuing. Now we learn another meditation about, we could spend all class on these. So I'm going quickly. But let's see. So now another meditation or upasana is on the connections between vidya, or how knowledge is imparted. So this one's simple and then also very apt because they're in the Gurukulam studying with the teacher and feel that connection between teacher and student and what brings them together. So let's chant this. Atari vidyam acharya purvarupam ante vasyuttararupam vidya sandhihi pravachanagum sandhanam ityadi vidyam. Now, for your practice, atari vidyam
Atari vidyam
acharya purvarupam
acharya purvarupam
ante vasyuttararupam
antevasi uttararupam
vidya sandhihi
vidya sandhihi
pravachanagum sandhanam
pravachanam sandhananam
ityadi vidyam.
ityadi vidyam.
Good. So now concerning atha adividyam, now concerning learning or knowledge. How does it take place? So we saw the first meditation was on the physical, lokam. Then it becomes more about energy, the subtlety of the fire, jaurisham. And these play a huge role in our life. Just thinking about our life, think about the physicality in your life, how much that's influencing your mind. Think about the energy that waxing and waning throughout your day and the energy of the atmosphere. I mean, it can be even as simple as we feel a little sad or depressed on a cloudy day. On a sunny day, we feel bright and cheerful. So reflect on that. Reflect on how the nature is as a yogi, of course, we are cheerful all the time because the inner sun is ever bright and that inner space is luminous. But think about how the atmosphere and how you're related to it. So those two relations are the physical and the energetic. But that's not the whole picture. So the guru also brings what I would call now as the cultural relationship. The cultural relationship means how you're trained and the company that you keep. And what is it that you're learning? How are you taught through language to interpret your experiences? That plays a huge role in how these other energetic and physical forces influence us. So we may all have the same physical experience around us, but our capacity to interpret that experience could totally differ. So it's amazing to reflect on that. And that gets at the heart of what this particular mantra is speaking. So now, atha adividyam. Now concerning vidya. So vidya means knowledge. But it also implies cultural and the cultural connections and also learning. The Purva Rupam, or the prior form, is the Acharya, the teacher. Acharya, the word itself means one who's walking their talk. So that's why the posterior is called Antevasi, the student. But Antevasi means one who lives in. They live with the teacher to make sure that they are walking their talk and to observe everything that they do. So that's a special, I think that is in other spiritual traditions too, to live in close proximity with the teacher. So you have the capacity to imbibe those deep qualities in maybe less time and assimilate what they learned and leap off their shoulders. And definitely it plays a huge role in shaping, even at the physical level, how you shape and hold your body. It will be influenced by living with the guru. So, at the now the vidyam. So the prior form is the teacher. Teacher must be there, acharya, who's well versed in the scriptures, who's like a boundless ocean of compassion, and who's also deeply abiding in themselves. That's the definition of a teacher in this tradition, acharya. The student is the disciple who's eager to hear the truths expounded by the teacher and try to live out what they're talking. They see them as a role model, as a mentor, as a guide, as a friend, perhaps. So all those different dynamics the guru-shishya relationship takes, it's really powerful. Guru can sometimes be mother figure, father figure, disciplinarian. Hopefully he need not play or she not play all those roles, but sometimes it's necessary. Guru also primarily is just to give the knowledge, that transmission of wisdom. Now, the middle link is vidya, the actual knowledge itself. So it's with the guru, but that knowledge is there, and that's what's between the teacher and student. In pravachana gumsandhanam, the connection is the teaching, pravachanam, naturally. So that's not very complicated. Teacher, student, the knowledge is there, and then the communication is what's linking them, what's joining them. So, but it's important to think about that relationship. If no teaching is there, then relationship is not flourishing. There's no back and forth. So that teaching is what brings them together. That's important because, especially in Western culture here, we may come from different backgrounds, maybe arts and economics, and that ability to relate could be difficult on the outset. What do you talk about? What holds that relationship together when things may feel difficult or don't go according to plan? It's this pravachanam. It's the words of the guru and that transmission of the teaching, which keeps the relationship ever fresh. That spark, initial spark, continues to grow and blossom till the knowledge is transmitted fully. And this knowledge is the only knowledge that can truly be given totally, handed over 100%, because it's not about any changing subject. It's about the truth of the subject, which is you, the Atman. So that way the knowledge can be completely full, completely given. And that happens through pravachanam, teaching. So reflect on these connections. This would be easy for the student to understand, this special relationship. So there, the prior form, E, is acharya, the teacher. The middle, she, is the vidya, the knowledge. The link, takara, is the pravachanam, the teaching. And that's received by the antevasi, va, posterior form, the student who's closely observing the teacher. Now, the fourth connections meditation, is on what's known as praja. Praja can mean progeny, children, your offspring. And it can also mean family, your sense of family, those deeper, intimate relationships that we have. And this is really important and so enlightening to see how in this Vedic culture, the brahmacharis we were talking about at this stage are at a stage of a celibate student. They are saved from, in the very teaching itself, they're saved from unhealthy forms of suppression. So they are exposed from the very outset of having a healthy relationship. And I would almost say that one of the greatest strengths of this ancient Vedic culture was a kind of controlled indulgence, the way to expose and recognize the sexual person and display that in a way where there's where you get a taste of it, but in a very controlled and more aesthetic way. What do I mean by that? Just visit any of those ancient temples. The whole periphery is surrounded by different forms or carvings of the sexual act. Or there's a lot of that spoken of in the mythology that maybe was passed down from grandmother to child. So you find that, but it's in a very aesthetic, beautiful way, and in a way that allows the youngster's mind to be free and open and then not fall into problems of suppression, but to see it as a divine act. And that's something that we should be proud of in the Vedic culture versus in other religions, shaming and condemning and calling the intercourse or sexual act an act of sin or the first sin. We have a totally different idea, a radically different idea. So here, the Guru brings in a connection on praja, on the relationship between mother, father, and then offspring. So let's look at it. Athadhi prajam matah purvarupam pitotararupam praja sandhihi prajananagum sandhanam ityadhi prajam. Atha, that word atha, now, the immediacy, the time involved, now, atha, adit prajam, now concerning progeny or family, praja. Mata, naturally, mother. She is purvarupam, the prior form. Pita, uttararupam. Father is the posterior form. Praja is the middle, the child or the children is the middle. And what's linking them together? What's linking the family together? Prajananagum. Prajananagum here means love. It's love that's holding them together. That's the foundation of the family. Actually, mother is the central. In most families, mother is the central fulcrum in which everything is organized around in the home, because of her selfless service to the children, that love. So here's a thinking about the connections in the family. You have the feminine, female force, mata, mother, then the father, then you have their offspring, and what joined them together, what created the child, and what sustains the family together is prajananagum. That's the link, or love. So it's a beautiful form of meditation that really helps allow those brahmacharis' minds to have a healthy form of exploring the sexual act. But taking it a little deeper or subtler too, we find in the brahmachari's lifestyle in the Gurukulam, after the completion of study and the graduation ceremony, which will come in the book itself, is that brahmacharis typically then move into working and finding a suitable partner. But some brahmacharis, being intelligent, may also stay and then take sannyas right then and there, meaning devote their whole life to the study of the scriptures and then pravachanam, sharing themselves. So it's a broad division where you have the pravritti path, you follow the path of family, which means having connections with brothers and sisters, aunts, uncles, grandparents, and then the activity path. There, it's more about acquisition. Then you have the nivritti path, which is talked about the path of renunciation, where instead of activity and acquisition, it's reflection and sharing instead. So there, the interesting idea too is for the guru or for the sannyasi, they're not excluding from the world in the nivritti path per se, but you could think of them too as also having families. How is that? Their families are just enlarged. That's all. So here, even in this example, for the praja for the sannyasi is the students, the ones who receive this knowledge and then carry that vision with them. You can think of that as the children of the guru or the sannyasi or swami. So it's a deeper way to reflect on this. But those are just broad divisions. You have to apply that intelligently in our culture here. So let's not get carried away with them.
Advaitji, may I make a comment?
Sure, Sridharan.
Yeah, when you mentioned a few minutes ago about the temple complex, they have a lot of carvings and things like that.
Yeah.
In what context you were saying that? I have something to add to it. I just want to make sure I add it in the right time.
Yeah, now's the appropriate time.
Yeah, what it is I like to share with you a lot of times. If you go to temple carvings, I have visited a lot of temples in India.
Mm-hmm.
Temples I haven't visited is in carvings in Khajuraho. That's in northern part of India.
Uh-huh.
In Khajuraho, if you go and see, I don't know, it may be more than 1,000 years old.
Mm-hmm.
The carvings depict even LGBTQ right now we have. It has been in the form of sculptures in Khajuraho. Why I'm saying this is you don't go there for only worship. There is a lot of treasure is there if you are looking for. That way we become more sensitive about these issues. Even today, a lot of people do not want to recognize LGBTQ and all of that. I just want to make a point in terms of where the community, where the society was several hundred years ago. Even then, what we see now in a socioeconomic conditions and various levels, economy, there are various levels how people have homosexual and heterosexual and various kind of relation. I'm a reproductive endocrinologist, so from the perspective of genetic and environmental factors affecting sex, not everybody are fortunate enough to be genetically and phenotypically same. There are a lot of things are there. Again, I'm not going from the Vedanta to anything else, but I want to make a point. We need to learn when we visit the temple, there are other things in there reflecting the society that's going to put us in perspective when we study Vedanta.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for sharing that, Sridharan. So it's all there in our mind and also in the culture and society. And we find that in many stories, even in Mahabharata. So you're right. We should have that exposure to it, the openness to it, and that ability to bring out what's in our mind about these issues and then help us relate healthily to everybody else. So thanks for having that personal experience and sharing it.
Thank you. The sensitivity is very important issues, Advaitji. We have, and there are a lot of people may not reflect who I am, what I am, but we need to be sensitive enough to know who they are and how we can live together, respecting one another. That is the point I'm.
Sure, I agree.
Thank you.
Now, what we'll see next week is the final meditation on what's known as Adhyatmam, the individual. So here, the individual is going to be spoken of as an expression of what they say, how they use their voice or their speech. So the students led to take that symbol, E-shaped dwa that we saw, and superimpose the different aspects of vak, the speech organ, and reflect deeply upon the words that they use and how those words really shape their identity. So it's a way also to give us a sense of agency back, that we can use our voice in a powerful way to shape our experience of life, and then also in a more meditative way to think about the creation of sound. So we're going to see that next week. It's the final meditation in these cluster meditations, Samhita Upanishadam. And then what we'll find next week as well is a more subtle form of japa practice, where we connect with the sheath of Brahman as Omkara. So we'll see that next week. Let us close with a prayer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.